Oh, wow, good evening. Woo. Kind of tired, but still working.
What?
Oh, streaming. Sorry.
Oh, what's it called?
I know. It's like when you walk up to somebody, like on the street, and they have earbuds in and they're just kind of talking to themselves. You think, something's not quite right. Oh, I got it. A few years ago, it was, you know, you're like, that person's really got something wrong. And then nowadays, it's just kind of commonplace. You're walking in the store, and then somebody just walks up and just talking. You're like, "What are you saying?" You're like, "Oh, you're just on the phone with somebody." That happened to us the other day, and like in the store, we were getting like chicken tenders in Publix, and some guy walked up behind you and was just chatting away. Like, "Oh, what?" Hmm. Or uh, my wife's saying over here is, "What'd you just say to me?" Like whenever something is surprising or exciting, she's like, "Oh, what did you just say to me?" And I'm like, one of these days you're gonna say that, and somebody's gonna be like, "Ugh," and just yeah. Uh, anyway, so I'm streaming. I keep telling her she should stream her game. She would get so much stuff going on, but
I don't
she
like tension.
she doesn't like attention. But she could totally do it because she's got the personality. She could talk so much crap and cuss and be like, "Oh, what's up?" I can't say any swears on here because
Let's
my
have a person
like
be swearing and you would be streaming, and then what would we
yeah, but I can stream in the other room. Like
do?
the only reason I don't swear on here is my students look at this stuff for content, and then I don't want to have parents go, "Oh, I can't believe you would say that kind of thing." I'm like, "Yeah, I have a real life outside of teaching. I'm sorry."
It should be
Like
the audacity.
anyway, so um, I'm in Unreal, and we're looking at the beautiful face of Selden here, and I've got some animations that I'm testing out. Um, we go to the animation pane. So this is the turnaround that was motion captured, and then he's in. It's not a perfect thing. This is really just a test to see if these are going to work the way that I would like them to work. Um, but I do want to pretty him up, and I got him in. And so there's a bit of a kink in Unreal 5.2 that I ran into with importing skeletal meshes. I've consistently been having it crash with the skeletal mesh import. And so I was looking it up in between, dinner and all this stuff, and it's seems to be pretty exclusive with 5.2. Um, Pretty consistently, people are having issues importing skeletal meshes, but I got around it by importing him into Unreal 4 and then transferring it over into. So let me see if I do I have the other version of the engine open? I don't, but earlier we saw me transferring stuff from Unreal 4 into Unreal 5 because I want to be in Unreal 5 anyway. But when I would go to import Selden's mesh, it would crash. So to get around the issues, I imported him into Unreal 4, 4.27, and then I manually just moved the U asset over into 5.2. But when I did that, it was a null asset. So it was there, but it said things were not quite right. So but the asset was physically there in the content browser. So I went to the content browser and I just re-imported from here, and that pulled everything in and fixed the links because unlike Unity, Unreal's re-import feature actually works. So um, I get to rag on Unity. Yay! I'm gonna do that as much as I can, just because I have to teach it and it's a busted system. And the politics behind why the schools use it is just insane. And one day I'm just gonna whistleblow and get fired, but I'm putting that out here live on stream. Anyway, oh yeah, right. My wife's like, "You're gonna get fired." Yeah, but it'll be on stream for the reasons why, and then we'll see how. Anyway, so that's in. Um, and now I'm just hooking up the materials because the material links were busted. But I have to go through materials one by one and see what's going on. One thing I do like about Unity's material system, there's not a whole lot that I like about it, but um, the materials come in labeled, and I know which one. So on Unreal, it's just element 0 through however many, and in Unity, it actually labels whatever the material asset was named in Maya. Whenever you export it over, it comes in with a reference to that asset. So when the thing is missing, you go, okay, it's missing. Oh, it's missing the thing for the boots, and then you pull that in. So that's kind of a convenient thing. That's something that Unreal is lacking. As you can see, I had to kind of guess. So, but Material Editor inside of Unreal is far more robust. My number one thing about Unity, of all the things, like I could teach the interface, I could teach that, but the thing that irks me the most about Unity, of all the things, is the material system. Because really, if you want to make your game pretty, you have to deal with great lighting and a strong material editor. And Unity lacks both of those things. But above all, the material editor is abysmal. And you can tweak the lighting, but the material editor is just sucks. Anyway, so I'm back in here. So here we are. My texture sample is broken, but I can go ahead and just find it. Um, I am working in Selden's skin, so I'm just gonna go and look for Selden's skin. I can just search for it here. So Selden, here is his skin. And I have a whole bunch of options in here. You know, I can adjust metallic, specular, roughness. I have a normal map option, and all these are kind of here. They're, Unity doesn't quite have as many options here. Anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and just apply. Hopefully it doesn't nuke itself, and I'll save the asset. Let's see how it looks on him. Oh, that's fantastic. But I did find the right channel. Okay. So that is there, but it is very much backwards. I think that's just the texture. Um, that is probably an older texture sample. Let's see if the other ones are just as backwards though. Uh, where is his texture? If I go here, um, my guess is when I moved him over, there were there was an older version of him in there, and it had a different texture asset. So I'm guessing that's an older texture asset. So I'm just gonna find where this one is and bring it in. This one, it's in my 3D art folder. That was Prime High Res. So bear with me, I'm half awake here. Game design, 3D art. Yeah. And then that. I'm on the right thing, right? C users, OneDrive. A bit. Selden high res. High res 2K. Yeah, that's a BMP. I'll pull that in. Oh, it's what here? Yeah, you can see this one's a different orientation. So let me save it and see if I can replace the old asset. Can I move to there? It says I can't move to there because there's one that already exists, um, which is weird. Textures. Oh, there is one. I have both versions in here. That one is that one's the diffuse versus the bitmap. Okay. I'm gonna remove the diffuse because that one I can't remove it without damaging it. All right, so um, I'll just manually change it here. Which, okay. All right, the bitmap won't have as much quality to it, but hey, it is there. Looks a little pale. It's okay. I'll re-render it later and get it in there. But I just want to have something here. All right, so we have that one, and then where's the rest? So if I had to guess, I'm gonna guess that this is probably the gi, the top of the shirt here. So Selden, um, here's the eyeball, the one that's broken. The eye texture, I don't think changed between models. It's probably the same thing. So I'll just apply it and save it. And that has been applied to his pants. Okay, so those are the pants. But that's the belt. All right, pants, belt. What's next? Um, I don't know what I changed there. Maybe the mouth. There's the eyes. Now, are the eyes that way because they're pointing up? Or are they that way because that's where the texture is? Looks like they're actually pointing up. Ah, I see, I see. It looks like there are two eyes, or that's the cap. All right. This one, we'll do pants. Let's try that one. Now there actually is a texture for this, but I really could just throw on a black material. But I'm gonna go grab the texture. Let's see if that's applied correctly. Looks right. The UVs on the pants didn't change much between models, so it's probably fine. This is the belt. Sash. Yes. Let me save all real quick. It just feels like it's getting crashy. Like all the programs I like crash a lot. Maya crash. What's that?
See your thing crash?
It did not recently.
Oh, sorry. I've had those on social media.
But Maya crashes a lot and Unreal crashes a lot. Ironically, the programs that I usually bash tend to not crash. Unity hardly ever crashes. Of course, it hardly ever works, so. Ooh, I got it. Huh, that looks unfortunate. All right, so the sash is on. Good. And then we'll go and get, um, I believe this is the lens. Nope, that's probably the eyeball. This is probably the lens. Now the lens had nothing special. It's just a material parameter, but it does have some translucency. So for that, I am gonna have to do a setting here. We'll make this translucent. And for the value, let's do a scalar parameter. This is the opacity. Plug that in. 0.5. There are some other things that I should do to make this kind of glassy. Um, um, where are you at? Let's go down. Um, so surface translucency volume will get me that. I don't really feel like doing a Fresnel, but with that open, it allows me to have some roughness and some polish. So, um, so my roughness value, the smoother it is, the shinier it's going to be. So you can see that this is already shinier. And then metallic, just to have some reflectivity. 8.25. So already we have something. And I can drive this a little bit more, but I think that's good enough for now. Okay. The eyes could be a bit more translucent. Right now it looks like it has cataracts, but it's fine. We're moving on to the next thing. Oh, save all. So the next thing on the list, most likely, so I've got boots and I've got the gi thing. So, shirt, shirt color two. We go shirt color one. Um, get a texture sample here, and then top. That I don't need. All right, so that's for that. So I'll just copy this one, paste it here, and this is the boots. Scalarity will be roughness. A little shinier. There we go. And then the gi, make it back to the gi. Um, let's copy that. Eyeball. Um, I'll come back to the eyeball sash. Shirt color, already got that. And boot color, I've got that. Skin. Um, whoops. Eyeball. I'll copy these values and drop them into here. Italic. Roughness. And I'm not taking the opacity, so I don't need that. Fresnel. So a Fresnel has to do with refractiveness of light. That's all applied. That's applied. And that was applied. So there. That will give us a slightly better ball. Not that we need all of that prettiness, but all those are in. And now if I go and move on to the animations, we can see that being updated, which is handy. I think I'll recapture this with a smoother transition on the foot. But yeah, okay, so we have that motion. Uh, Photoshop, I can close that. Close Task Manager for now. Okay, so let's try to get, I need an idle pose. So I'll go back up. Where was I? Motion capture, cleaned. This is turn right to left. Let me go back to raw. Right to left change. Okay, so he's here. But I want the idle. So same kind of file. Idle stance raw. Maybe I didn't save it. I thought I was working on it. Idle stance right, raw. Right, okay. So I didn't save it, which is a bummer because I don't want to have to do it again, but um so from here, um 1050, go back and then forward, and then back and then forward. Okay. We'll do 1040. 1040. We go back almost forward. See, he stops about there. So we'll start. We take. Where's the mesh? I'll just grab the skin here. 1060. So I just made a duplicate of the mesh at that pose, and it left something I could line up on. Okay, and I'll worry about cleaning it up a little bit more later. Let's just get this in. It's more about testing these things than it is about making them perfect. So I will key these every third. All right, good. And delete that last key. Mm. Copy this one, and then let me go to 10:15, or sorry, 11:15. I'll paste that one here. Much better. It's a bit jerky, but it's okay. It'll work out for now. We'll turn this down to 11:14, like that. Um, Rebake. Yay. Here's my keyframes. Awesome. I need this to be at 1, so I'll bring this back down to 1. And I'll view this from, actually, I don't know what the distance is going to be, but I do know that I want all these on there. I'll move these down. Okay, so those are on there, and my last frame on this goes to, was it frame 55 or is it frame 35? 55. Frame 1 to frame 55. Cool. And then I want that to be centered, so I'll go into here. Oh, I need to have the that wasted portion. All right, I need the X, Y, and Z value. I believe I determined that the Z needs to be almost 0, give or take. The Y needs to be just about 0, somewhat centered. That looks pretty good there. And then the X values, those need to be about -4. How good is my eyeball? -4 is too deep for this particular model. I'll go to -2. That should be good. And if I look at him, he should be good in center. And like that. So one of the things I really want to accomplish with this, like, there are a lot of good tutorials for how to extract motion capture data from motion capture. Um, who knew, right? So when I got into motion capture and tried to learn this stuff, um, there's a lot of experimentation, testing out different equipment, testing out different resources, and just trying to pull this stuff out and looking at it. There were like one or two tutorials that I found that were kind of useful, but not really for the extraction part. There were some that I ran into for cleanup, for getting out jitter, which is a really important thing. You need to how to get rid of jitter. Jitter is the unexpected noise that you would have whenever you do motion capture because it's not a perfect system. It's the bones will twitch a little bit because whatever system is capturing it is going to get some interference. If it's magnetic interference from like perception neuron uses magnetic receivers. If it's visual or interference from like light, if you're using a visual system, or if it's camera distortion, if you're using AI to kind of grab motion data from video, there's going to be jitter. So it's important to know how to clean that up. But there's not a lot of good resources out there for pulling this stuff out and how to make it useful. So I'm hoping if you watch this that you're, you know, able to get some benefit out of it. So I'm doing this kind of quick and dirty to kind of show you a proof of concept because there's more that you can do to make it pretty. But but yeah, so I'm lining this stuff up using the graph editor and I'm able to very quickly um, get things into position and center it up using those tools. And there are some things that need to be tweaked, right? So these hands, I still need to go and finish those. My feet need to be finished a little bit better. There's a tad bit of sliding, but really not a whole lot of sliding because um, the keys, when I move them in the graph editor like I do, they're all relative to each other. Um, so from start to end, their position to each other hasn't changed much, the distance between them. So all of that still looks natural. I can just move it as a group, which is what I'm doing in here. And I can do it here and visually see what's happening out here. As far as like jitter, if I get really close on these joints here, you really don't see it. One of the nice things about perception neuron is it does a really good job at not having jitter. Like it's one of the cleanest systems I've used for motion capture. And like so far, it is the cleanest system that I've used. And it's does a really good job. Like you would usually see spikes in this. I can pull motion capture data and show you from deep motion. Their stuff is awful. It's just noise all day. And once I save this out and bake it, I'll just show you. But I'm gonna go ahead and save this file. So I'll save as. So I do it as a couple parts. So this is the raw. So anything that I'm still cleaning and adjusting, I do it as raw. If it's what I would consider a final product, I put it inside of a cleaned folder. And then I give this a designation of cleaned, so I know which one I'm working with. And if I make new adjustments to the old data, I can override my cleaned one. And Unreal is really good about re-importing stuff. So anything that I use as a test, as long as I maintain a consistent naming convention, I can just re-import and it comes in. I don't have to do any adjustments to it. It's a beautiful system. So I'm gonna save this one. This is idle stance facing right, and then that one's cleaned. So I'll save that. And of course, it's not perfect. It's still wonky, and I gotta fix the hands and stuff. But this is proof of concept to see if the animations that I'm building using this system is going to work. So anyway, got those in. To get this out, um, all you have to do is select the skeleton. So I'm going to go and get my main skeleton here. Again, the main skeleton for the character, because we have an IK and an FK skeleton that drives it, but all that is translated back onto the main skeleton. And then for the main skeleton, you can see when I select it, there are no frames here, there are no keys. All of those keys are currently on the controls. Well, since I'm not transferring the controls over into Unreal, I just want to get the skeletal animation data. So I'm going to take the skeleton and I will once again bake the simulation just like I did before, but now I'm baking it onto the skeleton. Um, but I want to do the whole hierarchy. So right there, I just did the root. But if I go down to the next bone, you'll see there's nothing on that. So I'm going to go up to my skeleton. I'm going to go up to select and then select hierarchy. You can do all by type joints, but there are a lot of skeletons in here. So I'll get all the skeletons in my closet, which I don't want. So instead, I'm going to grab the root of my main skeleton here and then select by hierarchy. And then I'll grab all the joints for that guy. And then I can do my bake again. So key, bake simulation. That'll get all the joints. So if I open that up for that, any one of these now has that position baked. So I'm going to grab that root skeleton and I can just export that. So export selection. And this one is going to be Selden, idle stance. And this is just the idle to the right. Okay, FBX. I'm not exporting any constraints and I don't have any expressions, so I'll just leave those off. Smoothing groups, not necessary because I'm not sending out any mesh data. I'm just sending out the animation. So down here, I'll do animation and then bake. Make sure I have the correct range. So 1 to 55, 1 to 55. If that is not correct, hit cancel and start again. To make sure that's all good. And then you can export to here. Yeah, it's fine. Cool. And then I'm going to jump back into Unreal, come back to my animations, and then I will bring that animation in. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, convenience. I'll drag them in. And then on the dialogue here for the skeleton, I'm going to make sure that I am pairing it with my Selden skeleton. Unreal is pretty smart. It knows to not bring in the mesh, but if you have the option to bring in the mesh and you only want to bring in the animation, you would uncheck import mesh. I don't have that option here because I never exported the mesh this time. And then exported time is the desirable. You do have an option. You can do animation time and you can do set range, but I find exported time is most reliable if your export time matches the timeline from Maya. So it just makes life easier to do that. And then I'll import. And then it comes in. Now, if you're having an issue with him coming in not in the correct orientation, that can happen depending on how your system is set up. So in Maya, Y is up and Unreal Z is up. Unreal is usually pretty good with an FBX file to figure out that Z and my are flipped. But if it doesn't, or if you didn't check that box, or if the box was checked but it wasn't obeyed, um, you can very quickly re-import this. So I'm going to come down to, so I'm inside that asset here, and then I'll go down to its import settings, and I was going to do 90 degrees on the X here. And depending on which way he's facing and how he's turned, you might pick a different one, but I've already done this, so I know that 90 degrees in the X is good. But you can also grab the skeleton. If you go to character, bones, and then turn on all hierarchy, you can just grab the skeleton, the root joint, and then you can just orient this however and save it. Um, but I'm going to go here and change the imported rotation, and then I can just re-import animation and then check it. Hey, he's standing up in the correct orientation. There he is. Yay. 2 animations in. So for this, I need an idle, I need a turn, and I need a walking animation. So I'm going to go grab a walk animation. Um, where I'm at, Maya. Okay. I think I saved this already. I don't want to save what I've already done here. Hopefully, I'm not breaking anything, but I think I already saved that. So for the walking animation, I'll go to new, um, and I'll import my reference or create reference of my simplified rig. And this one is going to be, I'll save this as, I'm getting tired. Motion capture raw. This will be Selden underscore idle to run raw. I need to make that file. So let me go ahead and make a new file, do import, and I have not yet cleaned this, so I'll go to my motion capture data. Oh, I was gonna show you how bad the animation was from the other software, other stuff. So where's motion capture? Mm, Here, I'll just grab. I don't want to import. I'll just open it. Maybe I'll do a review on it just because um, deep motion just was not a great system to use. Motion capture. I'll just use that one. So here's the motion capture from them, and you can see the animation, and I'll just play it. This is at 24 frames per second, but just look at how jittery this is. Now, if you're on a budget and you really need to have animations, you can totally use this system. One of the things that I didn't like about it, like right here, it looks good, but if you watch from like the front, you can really see this stuff. Where's my front view? So my front is shown the side, but you can kind of see that there. And then here. See that? No, it's not terrible, but it isn't, it kind of isn't worth the price. Maybe in a couple years when their system's a lot better, maybe it'll be a little bit better, but that's just, it's really unusable because there's so much jitter in here that by the time you stripped everything out, you've lost the fidelity of the animation. You might as well just do it by hand. Um, the nice thing about motion capture is it catches all the little things that are really hard to add in by hand. That's what creates the life. That's what gives it its essence, basically. And if you're to get all this out of there, let me go ahead and just show you the difference. Um, let me select this hierarchy. What is my baked range? I think this was, I think it was 30 FPS. Looks like it. Hmm. Last frame, 217. So 217, and that one. Like, just standing there, the character is very wobbly wobbly. You see all that? Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just capture this. I'll do again every third frame. And even here, you can see like the jitter is just real bad. There's a lot of really bad flipping. You can see those are just bonkers. So you can fix that. There are some tools in here that are built in to Maya that will help you with that. So if I grab these, the first thing I might want to do on here would be where is it going to be? Let's do. No, I mean I could auto, but that's not what I want. There is oh, I can't speak. Where are you at? Curves, and we want to do an Euler pass, Euler filter. And what that'll do is it'll try to avoid the flips. It'll go through and evaluate and try to remove those flips for you. So you can see the hand is corrected already, and there's no weird flipping in the middle. So the Euler filter is a really good way of smoothing some of that out. And right away, we have something a little bit closer to what we can use, but the jitter is just so bad. You know, what's left over is still kind of bad. And you still have, at this point, you still kind of have some of the personality, but you can see a bunch of that's been removed. But I'll go through it again. Let's do, um, let's see if butter curves is going to be our friend today. Um, there's a smooth filter here. There's a smooth filter there. Um, let's try the Butterworth filter. Actually, before I do that, I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to get in here, and this will give you a better example of some of these curves here. And you can see how these are. And before I even go do that, let me undo. Uh, is that before the flips were removed? I want to go before I updated the flips. Now the hand is not a helicopter, so I'm not far enough back yet. Okay, so I'll go ahead and bake those out again. At this point, the hand should be a helicopter. There we go. And some weird flips. Okay, cool. So as I'm going through here, this is where the majority of the noise is. And you can see here, like this. You see how each joint is, or each frame is spiky. That's noise. Um, the the worse off, the worse the system using, the more noise you're going to have. Um, if before I do that pass, let me go back. This way you can really see and hear how this stuff is. So each frame is stair stepped. There's a setting in that where you can step your frames. So this is a very rough pass. It's a very linear transition from point to point. Um, and that's just very rough. Some systems it's a lot worse. It's very jagged, but this is still pretty bad. Go ahead and rebake that. So on that bake, by removing a couple frames here and there, it forces Maya to interpolate. And since the interpolation is basically it trying to guess the next frame between a couple frames, we're going to have a little bit of natural smoothing. But what's going to end up happening is if there's anything rough, like if a joint goes from, I don't know if you can see my hand here. Maybe I'll jump in here so you can see. If it goes from here to like here, but it doesn't see the in between, it'll just teleport the thing to that position, and that's why you get those weird flips. So you go in and you make your pass. So I'll grab all that. You go in and you make your Euler pass, which is going to check the shortest distance between rotations. So it'll say if the hand is here and it somehow got to here, um, what was shorter? Going from 0 to positive, 180, or going from 0 to negative, 180. What's the shorter path? Generally, the right answer is um, the one that doesn't break the model. It tries to find the right one. Um, so the Euler filter does a pretty good job at fixing that. We can just run that again. And again, the hands aren't doing the helicopter, and the body's not helicoptering either. All right, and then on this one, again, getting in here, kind of showing how these keys are. These ones aren't too bad. They're pretty smooth in between, but you can still see some of this really jagged stuff going on in this area here. So if I do the smooth curves here, it's going to try to go through and take the jaggedness out. You can see what it did here. Now to do that, it's going to go through and do what it needs to do to smooth those curves out. It's going to put a key in there and try to do a smoother transition. And you can see that here. But even with the even with that, the noise that is just in that has been captured in the motion capture data, it's painful, right? It's still there. There in that moment here, I'm just T posing. I'm supposed to be idle. Standing there before I walk, I'm idle. I'm not doing any motion. I'm literally just standing there before I do the thing. So that's not good because I have to spend extra time trying to find a way to pull that data out. Um, and it's just more work for me at the end of the day. And maybe after I do a smooth filter, I can go and rebake every other frame. And maybe at the end of the day, I'll have something less jittery and more usable. But there's still he looks like um, a badly oiled robot, you know, uh, or C3PO before they put the golden plates on him when he was walking on the sand. It's what it looks like. So it's just one of a few bad examples. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. The whole point is I'm trying to get the walking data from the new system. So we go ahead and import that. So Access Studio, let me grab Selden, and we get, I think it's just output. And then where's my idle to walk? Now, all that said, the newer system with perception neuron, it's not a perfect system either. Here's this walking cycle. You need to set this. This is supposed to be 60 FPS. Um, I didn't really check the other one, but I assume it was 60. It should have been 60. And is this all the way through? A couple different passes? Yes. But here, you can just look at this. Idle. There's no extraneous jitter. It's very clean. The motion is very nice. Is it perfect? No, there are some hinks into there, or some kinks into there. Um, First off, when I recorded this, I was walking a straight line. I know because I put I put a path down to make sure that I was walking in a straight line. Um, because when I did an initial test with this, I was like, huh, I'm going diagonal for some reason. Maybe I'm just not walking in a straight line. So I put a straight line down and I walked the line. And you can see he's walking diagonal. You can also see as he's walking um, what those legs are doing. They're crossing through each other right there. That's probably passing through. That one most certainly is. That would be a pass through because the skin of the model would be there and it would be a pass through. So that's something I'm going to have to fix, right? So it's not a perfect system. A couple things I want to capture off of here. I do want to capture the push off. So I'm going to find that position, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. I'm going to do that once I have the actual model. So all I'm going to do with this is I need this set up. Whenever you're getting the motion capture data from your system, you always have to set up your IK um, data. So I go to human IK. I will create a character definition. And what you do is you go through and just label all these. Now I have a character definition pre-made, so I don't really need to do this. But if you've never done it before, you pick your joints. So I'm going to start with my root, and I'll add my root as my reference. So you just click to select it, right click to assign. If you do something wrong, you can clear it. Um, or let's say I pick, the wrong joint. You know, Maya's pretty good about figuring out based on the name what is left and right. So this is a left and that's a right, so it found it. But these should definitely be down here. So if you do it wrong, you can, of course, clear the single one if you want. So I can clear that. Um, or I can pick the correct one and then I can just overwrite it and, oops, overwrite it. And it'll ask me if I'm sure, and I can just say yes. Then it'll go through and then I'll say yes. Because once it does one, it does the other, and you can just double check. And if you grab that, it'll grab the one that it's assigned to. Okay. And you just kind of go through and do these. The foot joint is there, and then that goes to here. I don't have any toes, so I'm not going to use those. Pelvis is here. And then spine 1 is here. And then you open up the spine. Inside of there, you have the next two spine joints. So however many spine joints you have, but we just have the two. So, or sorry, the three. Spine 1, 2, and 3, and then you have neck and head. So spine 2, you always start at the bottom. Spine 3 is the next one up. I don't have any more. Go to the neck. I only have one neck joint. And then the head joints at the end. And then from there, I can do my shoulder. So shoulder is inside here. Actually, this is the collar. You can have a couple collarbones in there if you need to. I just have the one, so there's that. And then I'm going to the shoulder, and then the forearm, and then the wrist here. And then inside of the hand, you have all the hand joints. Now, these are kind of big, it's hard to see. If that bothers you, you can select the hierarchy. So select hierarchy, and then inside your channel box, you can just set the joint radius down to like 1 or 2, so it's easier to see. That doesn't damage anything. It just changes visually how big these things are. So maybe do a 1. Again, that's not going to break anything. That's just visually what it is. So I'll grab the thumb and then I'll just assign it. Pro tip, you don't have to grab the next joints. You can just use the up and down arrows on the keyboard to go to the next one. So I'll just go to the next one there. That way you don't have to keep clicking. So this one, and then this one, and then that one. You don't have to do the ending joints. The fingertip doesn't bend. You have a little bit of a knuckle there, and then the tip does not actually do anything, so you can just leave that alone. And then I'll assign that one, this one, and whoops, that one. Oops, I have the wrong one. There we go. I'll jump over, get this one, and then this one. And then everything should be on the other hand. It is. Cool. And then you can name it. So I'll rename this. I'll call this Axis Studio Skeleton because that's the motion capture system that I'm using for this particular thing. And then you can save it. So if you hit save, um, the template is going to be the same name as your definition. So in this case, Axis Studio Skeleton. And then the example bone is going to be whatever your root bone is. So mine is called reference. So this is just the reference bone. If you have a prefix, so like I have a character, so I've got Selden and Josra and Dean. If there's a character name in front of it, you would just put the character name. Um, I have nothing, so I'll just leave that and hit OK. I already have a character definition, so I'm going to hit cancel. And I'm going to actually clear this. If you have a definition, you can go up to load. You do have to select your root bone and then load. And then you can see I have Selden in here. I also have an Axis Studio that's created. um, so I'll just grab that. I don't have a prefix, so it doesn't matter. And then I'll hit OK. And it'll go through, it'll match everything. And you can see on here, I'm actually missing my foot joint. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab that. And I'll just add that in. And I grab both. And then if I want to save this again, I can just save over the last one. So again, Axis Studio Skeleton. And if I use the same name when I hit OK, it'll ask me to overwrite. I just say yes. Okay. And cool. So now that I have that saved, I want to save this file. So I'll do File, Save As. And since I'm inside of my new system, I'm going to go to my Axis Studio folder. And I do have a cleaned folder that I made. And this is going to be my my file that has my data on it. So it has my motion capture data, but it also has my character definition on there. So that needs to be saved. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab that. I already have one, but I'll save over it. Okay, so this is just my bare file with my character definition on it. And now I can go and open um, my main folder or main file. Folder, file, same thing. The folder is just a file that holds files. And if you think I'm insane, that is correct, yeah. But I also stuff folders inside of folders. I probably make my wife angry about that.
I did that.
Why the heck is there a folder inside a folder? It's folderception.
Called organization.
Why in the world are these backwards? Man, that's so annoying. Okay. And then getting tired. Go to my raw folder. And then in here, I have my idle to run raw. I'll open that. Yes. All right. So now I'm in here and I can create a reference to my Access Studio. I'll get my Access Studio cleaned, idle to walk. So that's in, and we get to test it. So I'm at 0. I need to make sure that this is set to 60 FPS. I don't know how much is on here, so I'll grab that. Um, really? I know there's much more than that. I should be able to see that here. There we go. Go all the way out to wherever this is. You can see these individual points here. 320, 3249, I think is what it is, but I'll see it here. 3249. I'll paste that in there and expand it. Lots of frame data. All right, let's take our source, we'll match it. Make sure nothing's broken. It looks like an eye floating out. Nope. Let's run it. Okay. So now that I have that, I can just bake that onto there. Now again, I can use my selection set to bake everything, or I can just bake using this option here, which does the same thing. So I'm going to do a bake. Yeah, bake the custom rig. I think that's got everything, right? Do I have the head and the necks? Yeah, I do. Okay. So yeah, I can just bake the custom rig there. Um, yeah, okay. So now that I have that baked, I'm going to make a new file off of this um, for what I want. So this is going to be that raw file. I can remove the reference at this point. Actually, I'll do that. So where's that reference? Here it is. Reference. Remove. So now I can get that. And then the part that I want from this will be the starting. So this is going to be idle to run. raw. This is going to be my cleaned. So when I go into here, this is going to be these stripped out bits. So cleaned. So I'll get him into position. And then just before the push off. So right there. 482. So just before the push off. And then the push off happens. Step. And then through to the first heel down is what I'm looking for. 562, I think, is good. 562. Push off, step, and then crossover, heel down. And then from there, I can blend into the actual walk cycle. Because my walk cycle will start from basically this position. You can see how contorted he is, right? There's a lot that needs to be cleaned up here. Okay. So 562. I'm gonna have to remember that. So I'm gonna do a notepad real quick. 562 is the ending frame on that. I'll get my um, character reference, and I will then key every third. Cool. Let's see how that looks. There's definitely a lot of cleanup that I'm gonna have to do to make those a little bit nicer. But initial issue, one is he's going this way, which is fine, but I also have to have him going the other way. Um, so there's that. Let's see what I can do to iron this out. Um, grab all this. You set this back to frame one. If you're not sure how I'm moving these, I'm holding shift and then middle mouse clicking, and I can drag. There we go. So I'm snapped down to one. My last frame on this is over here. What is my last frame? Looks like the farthest frame out is over here. I don't think anything's beyond that. 79. 79. 1 to 79. That's pretty good. All right, so that needs to be moved. So I'll go and get my graph editor. Oh, I do need to have the correct bone here. All right, so I need these, my translation X, Y, and Z. Try to center this up pretty well. Let's isolate things. Let's get my translate Z. Grab that. Let's move this. I think I'm centered. Yeah, because Selden's in this stance, so he's okay there. Get my Y value. Let's move this. I want him to be mostly center, like that. And then my X value, let's bring that down. So right off the bat, that's a lot nicer. How does it look from the side here? I'm a side scroller, so I really probably could just get away with it being, but you can definitely tell he's going at an angle. You can also see some of the weirdness, like on this ankle here. This ankle's curved. That's not natural. This one needs to be planted. That's not natural. This is something that's easier to fix with my IK setup, but because I don't have my IK FK snapping yet, it's something I'll have to deal with later. But once I have this hooked up, I'll show you how to fix that. Um, you can do it with FK, it's just annoying. So I would have to go through, um, find that frame where things are. So this is looks good here. Let me go to the next frame. Looks good here. Let's go to the next frame. So far, so good. Next frame. That's lifting. I don't see too much of an issue, but you can see that the ankle is a little curved. So I can grab that and then get my rotation tool. Um, and try to see where that curve is. I can take that and kind of iron it out a little bit. And if I like it there, I can key it. And then you can see that's kind of how that is. Already flatter. But at this point, it's really kinked. So he's trying to pick up the ankle, which is good. But oh, I'm getting gimbal lock. That's not cool. Gimbal lock is when um, these handles overlap each other in a way that makes them indistinguishable from their direction. And you can see that these are almost, well, they're not almost, but they're starting to get close to their position. Anyway, so here, maybe like I would tweak out this ankle. And then I would key it And as I'm getting to here, you can see that ankle's really twisting out. Need to not let it do that. Right? What should be happening here is the knee should be out, and then the whole that would kind of guide the direction because you can't really turn. I mean, you kind of can, but try this. You know, put your leg out and try to aim your toes in a direction, just moving your foot. You'll notice that you can only get so far before the knee has to start taking over, right? So you'll get what I mean. The knee should be the thing that's guiding the toes at this point. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all 80 frames. That just know that this does need to be corrected. And look, it does figure itself out. It's starting, and then the foot does this little wobbly thing, and then now we're getting onto something that's more correct. But this is still wrong. So as he's stepping out, if I do this from a top view, this is why IK would be better, because I can just grab the foot and move it, and all the child joints will follow. Whereas with FK, um, I have to grab my parent joint, and then I have to determine the order of which joints are going to have to be moving, because the pelvis has to move to align with the angle of the leg, and there's a lot of little there's an order of operations basically. So while I can go through and do it this way, it's not pleasant. So let me go and just go into worldview. I'll just force the leg to be more center, like that. Right? But for that leg to be there, the pelvis has to be angled, right? Because he's off balance. If you look, he can't walk this way. He'll follow the flamingo. But like you can clearly see he's off balance. That's not natural, right? So I'd have to do some things to correct his balancing issue. So right now, oops, put the leg back. Um, if I get that pelvis, I can kind of turn this back, and that straightens him up here. But then I have to flatten out this foot, and I have to do this. So there's a lot of little things I have to do if I'm using FK. If I'm using IK, um, then it's a little bit easier to kind of plant the feet where they need to go. Um, but since I don't have that set up, I'm just kind of like dancing here. Okay, where's that joint? Okay. But yeah, I'd be going through and just straightening out this leg this whole time, changing the aim of how this is going. I need to fix this neck. He's walking like he got hit in the back of like somebody whacked him with a pipe. It's like, or he slept wrong. That's just not a natural way of going about your day. Like, what is that? What is that head motion? You know, back here. He's already got a broken neck. Look at that. Hmm. Hmm. Uh, and it just kind of like looks off. Ooh, that leg just swings out all weird. But okay. Anyway, I'll worry about cleaning this up later. I just want to get this mostly in position. Yeah, cool. That'll work for this, but I don't really want him to move. So I'm gonna create this is where it's gonna get really wonky, is I'm gonna strip out the actual forward motion um, of that pelvis joint here. So after about here, because there's a capsule around him, and I can do that. Let me go ahead and just create a cylinder. The height is going to be about 180. Um, do that, and then let's put a radius of yay big, and then subdivisions we'll just do 8, and then we'll do a round cap of 1 with a cap subdivision of 3. Okay, so in Unreal, there'll be a capsule. And actually, in Unity, you'll also probably have a capsule here. Let me adjust the height just so it's more to the point. 100, and we do 110, 120. There we go. So there we go. We have a capsule, and it doesn't matter that his leg is outside of it. We want the main body to stay inside this capsule as he's walking. So as I am going through the motions here, I want to pay attention to where that's changing. So he's in the capsule, in the capsule. I'm going to change the highlight of this to bright green. So if I go up to modify, where are you at? Is it display, wireframe color? I'm going to make that bright green here. So I'm not looking at it, or I'm not selecting it, I can still see it. And you can see that as he's going to step, at some point he's going to step outside that capsule. The moment he does that, the boundary box and him will no longer be aligned. So I have a couple choices. I can try chasing him with the boundary box, which is silly. I can apply root motion, which is an option. If you like root motion animation, you are welcome to use root motion. Root motion is better in Unreal 5. Um, I'm going to try to avoid root motion until I need to use it. So, like certain things like a roll or maybe a skip or something like that, I might do root motion, or for certain combos, maybe root motion. But in general, I try to strip out root motion until I need it. So I'm going to go back to about where his body would probably start leaving the capsule. So right here on this frame, was at 28? So after this frame, so I'm going to start frame 30. So frame 30 and probably onward would be, I would remove any forward translation of that. So inside of here, let's get the pelvis. Um, pelvis. Which one is my forward? In this case, is it my Z value? No. Z is usually forward, but I have a weird setup. So I think, why is my forward? It's a good question. Why is my forward? So any of these at this point, um, I can revalue these things, or I can just snip them off. So if I snip them, you'll see he just kind of like stays there and he just slides. And he's not coming out of the capsule, which is good. Even if he's like a little bit out here, nobody's going to care if that gets missed, but the majority of him is going to be inside the capsule. So there you go. So he's planted inside there. All right, I'll go ahead and just hide the capsule there. This is idle to run. Um, didn't actually specify the direction. So I'll save this. Let me get that skeleton. I will bake. And then I'll export that skeleton. So Selden, idle to run. I'm facing left. And then I'm baking those out. Yes. And I want to do one of them where he's facing the other way. So let's find the easiest solution for that. The easiest solution, realistically, is just to 180 um, him. So I have a couple choices. Um, I can sit there and 180 the crap out of the pelvis until I'm blue in the face. Or I can, oh, I should control Z those. So I can take this pelvis here, go into my side view, and I can, 180 this until he's, that way. Or um, I can take the root bone and I can 180 that and have him face the other way. Because right now it's at 0. And as long as the root bones are consistent, that's okay. But if all of the animations facing to the right have a root bone of 0, then they all need to have a root bone of 0. And then if he's facing left and his root bone is 180, that makes sense or whatever. So you just want to have consistency. Otherwise, you're going to have animations that do some weird flipping. So how do I want to get those out? That's a big question. I think the easiest way is to flip the root bone. The better way in my particular case, since the root bone has not, since my root bone doesn't translate, you can see there's no data on here. So I'm basically rotating him by the pelvis because that's what's captured in the motion capture data. I'm better off um, 180ing the pelvis. That's a lot of calculations I don't want to deal with. That'd be a handy script, you know. Write a mel script to go every other frame and take the current Y value and you know, add 180 degrees to it. Mm, I think of a simple way. I could, I don't think that would work. Like I say, I could unparent from the root, parent to some other object, rotate it 180 degrees, and then reparent it back to the root. Assuming that would let me do it that way. Sometimes parenting things when there's animations already applied to it can break things. So I'm gonna see what happens here. Um, I also have a rig to deal with. See if I can get away with it. You can take that pelvis. Can I unparent without shattering everything? It says I don't think I can. Where's my script editor? I can't read that. Oh, it's because I'm on a reference object. Reference objects parented to reference objects cannot be parented. Makes sense. I can't make modifications to the reference in this instance because of the situation. So this is one of those moments where having a reference kind of backfires on me. Um, I can get around it by just importing and making changes directly. The downside is I'm going to lose any options I have with my reference. So if I have to go back and fix my rig later, those updates will not populate forward. But knowing that I can save out a file and just name it, whatever, and then I can keep the working file available so that I can make those changes. So that's an option. Um, can I parent? Well, I guess I can't reparent. Let me do a top view. Oh, what's going to be a simple flip of multiple joints here. I can't just do 180 because um, they're not all 180. But what I might be able to do, what's this one? I'll close the script editor for now. Let me grab the rotation. Which one's going to matter here? Um, when I rotate this guy, it should be about the y-axis, but I suspect this is multi. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Holy scrap.
Holy scrap.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You should have, and that's like not even all. I picked up a bunch of stuff already.
Oh, man.
Crap. Space. Yeah, right on
This
space.
one is my left and right rotation. This one,
Um,
whoops. This one appears to be mostly associated with um, that, which makes sense actually because my X is my up direction for that skeleton. Um, where's my Z at? And then Z is most likely left and right. In this case, it's forward and back. Okay. So I don't really want to damage um, the others, but I will take the X value. And let me see if I can move these in such a way to where they are consistently facing this way or that way.
and we just did it the second time. Okay. Oh goodness. Oh, good gravy.
I did mostly face him that way. He is more or less facing there. And that looks like it's going to be consistent. He's all over the place. All right, let me find the one that's going to deal with him being slopped forward. Okay. Now he's climbing up some weird ladder. I think I just Frankenstein the crap out of him. That's not natural. So what I can do,
So sorry. Oh no, not again. Oh no.
oh, mm,
I just want to pick up my stuff, man.
I gotta look for other solutions here. It's like I could take this root position here, and I can just flip that 180. Whoops, not him. This thing. And flip this 180. And that will work. Again, I have to do that for each one of these, but since this root isn't really keyed, I can take that root value. You can see this guy. These are all dead. Um, so I can take that root and then 180 it, and he's going to continue to be that way. The problem is, um, this value is going to be different for the other versions of this model, other versions of the skeleton. So when I send the animation data over, it's going to read that Y value is 0, and then in that animation instance, it's going to flip it, which is why I'm not doing it that way. Can't reparent it. Again, I can't change that value there. What can I do? Uh, Sorry, that's kind of rude of me. Never changed me before. Or stopped me before. Whatever. You know what I mean. How do I get you to face the other way? Hmm. Well, I am at kind of a loss. And I think the only other way I can do it is to break my reference. So I'll go to my reference for Selden, and then I'll just import. That solidifies my reference, and now I can do some breakage. So let me hide the geometry here. Where's my geo group? Here's my skeleton. Break that. I'm gonna then create a locator. I can make anything. Make a cube. Why not? I'll make a cube. And then I'll parent this to the cube and see if I can get away with this. That's so wrong. You 180 that cube. That did not do anything. Yeah, because he's um right. That's not the thing that matters. What am I thinking? Where's my hierarchy? Hello, rig. Where are you? Main control. FK controls. I think. Yeah, FK controls. Let's break those open. Let's find the pelvis. There it is, and that has a group on it. And that group um, I might be able to force that group to 180 offset. The controls themselves are at 0.
Oh man.
Okay. I might
That's
be able to I might be able to offset the control group here. Um, 180 degrees, like that. Am I able to do that? I'm trying to think of how it would, when the value is exported, if it exports 180 degrees counter, or if it would just flip back to where it was. I'm going to do that and then see how that works for me. So there, and then I'll take the skeleton, select the hierarchy. I'm going to bake that. Hopefully, I suspect though that the end result is it's going to be facing the other way. But that's what the experiment is for. Idle to run left. We'll make this one idle to run right. Everything else is the same. Export. I'm not going to save this because I totally broke things in here. But I want to see what happens when I import it. Idle stance. Idle stance right. That's the turn. Make sure I save this before I import it. Um, here's my idle to run left. Select my skeleton. And I do know that I need to import this with a 90-degree rotation, so I'll just go ahead and put that in here. And import. Idle to run. There's no animation data. So that means that I only selected the root and I didn't do the hierarchy when I baked. But that's okay, that file is saved. And Unreal's pretty forgiving with re-importing. This one I'll bring in. Same deal. We'll do a 90-degree offset. Pick my skeleton. And we'll see. He is facing the correct direction. That's a good sign. So that the trick that I just did worked. It baked him facing the correct direction. There's still some jitter and still some weirdness. But we know that that works. Okay. Let me go back, make sure I save. And we'll jump into yeah, I assume nobody's joining me for chat because it's empty here. But if anybody's in chat, hey, how's it going? You guys are doing better things like watching Markiplier. Look, I'm still sad that Markiplier did not show up in the FNAF movie.
Don't even start with me because you know I love FNAF and Nightmare.
Like, how can you build the majority of your career off of FNAF and not even show up?
Like even if I was gonna lose money,
Like,
I would probably still do it.
I know he's
As long
doing
as I don't get sued.
he's doing way more important things than me right now,
You know,
but I would have, you know, if I built my career off of that, I would have been like, yes, let me go do that. That would have been great for the fan, even for just for the fan service. It would have been great, but also honoring, your roots, where you came from. Anyway, I'm just salty because he's not in there. Matt Pat was there.
of course, he's
Yeah,
not pessimistic.
exactly. All right. So let me go back into Maya here and fix my broken. So I'm going to open the file. Hopefully I made sure to save the idle to run cleaned version. I'll open it. I'm sad. I kind of feel like I didn't save this at all, and I'm going to be very, very unhappy with the results. In fact, I'm going to hit cancel because I just know how things go sometimes, and I'm anticipating my own stupidity. It's late enough for me to totally forget how life works. Okay, what is my current?
Biscuit eater.
Everything is going fine with that. All right, I'm gonna grab the root. Let me grab the hierarchy, bake this thing, and then I'll take that and I will export again over this guy, facing to the left. Now, like I said, Unreal is really forgiving when it comes to re-importing, so I'll grab the old one and then I'll re-import. And then if I go back in, hey, it works. This isn't Unity, so I know it works. Looks like I have a broken neck, though. Oh no, I don't. It's just because the skeleton is weird. Hey, hey. So those are in. And it's 2 in the morning. I probably should go to bed. Uh, kind of want to get that walking animation in there.
Hmm.
Talking to myself and my loyal fans. Teardrop. I have to add some effects like bruh and oof and some basketball sounds. That's what fans want. Um, Definitely need to get like a little switchboard so I can just play those live like a DJ. All right. So this idle to run is kind of busted, but I'll go back. That's I'll just make a note for myself because I'm pretty sure it's busted. Idle to run 1 to 79. Even though that's after it was clean. Anyway, that's as far back as I can go. Oh no. But it's okay. I can remove that. So if you've made the mistake that I did and you're not sure if you saved it, you can select hierarchy off of that skeleton, jump into your animation data. I'm only selecting um, that skeleton. You can see, even with all this, that's all I got. So I'm going to grab those and just strip them out. He should still perform because that's all on the controls. That's terrifying. I don't know what happened to his jaw. That seems to have been gone for a while. I just happened to notice. That means his jaw's probably sideways in Unreal. You go take a look. That one's okay. And that one is not so okay. It's all right. I can always fix that later. My boy. You want to see my child?
Talking to me?
So, yeah, do you want to see my child?
That is absolutely horrifying.
It looks
Might
like
be more than life itself, but that is horrifying.
Tom actually.
I
Ah,
got a little bit. Ah.
poor Tom Gromley. All right, so
My stomach.
I'm gonna jump out of that. And then which one was I doing? Motion capture. My idle to run raw. I'll go ahead and open that. I lost my data. Let me get my reference to that animation, which was this one. I had to make sure I was in the right file. Okay, and then character definition. Let me grab you, and then that thing, that thing. Bum bum bum. You. How many frames was it? A lot. That's all I know. I believe the answer was very many. Oh, it's off-centered because this is not set to 60. There we go. That last frame. I believe 3249 is the correct answer. Yeah. 3249. Pull in all the data. Uh, attach. All right, so 562 is what I want to start at. 562. And then as that foot touches down, where did I do that? As that foot touches down, that's basically the start of my idle, or start of my walking. So down. Realistically, I should, off of that step, wait for a full walk cycle, which is about here. And the reason for that is it's easier to match these arms. So I'll just make a note for myself because as that first step hits, I transition in. That hand, this backhand is not really back far enough to get into the swing of things. So starting here at 634, um, I'll do update to 634. And I'll keep that as a note. In the event that I go to bed or something, I'll have that for tomorrow. So 634, 634. Wow, I can't type, but I'll do 632. Yeah, sure, 632. Oops, I'm just breaking things all over the place. And then for my side view, just because I'm evaluating from the side, I need a contact pose, which is what I have. And then I gotta go to the next contact pose. So the next contact pose is 668. So contact 1 is 632. Contact 2 is 668. And then contact 3. Because I need 3 contact poses. So 668. And then we step through. My last contact pose is 705. Okay, so now I have my 3 contact poses, and I can take those. Um, you can continue walking through to find better ones, but you can see that I'm slowing down after a couple of these. So you can just zoom out a little bit. So contact 1, 1, 2, 3, and then I stop. So I want to try to keep the momentum 1, 2, and then that one. And then if I continue forward, now you can see that I did carry my foot forward, but my momentum slowed down, so I can't use that last one. So 705 looks like it's going to be good. 705. With the exception of the jitter, it looks like a pretty clean walk cycle. So same dealio. I want to bake this and send it over. So I'll grab the joints and bake it and send it over. I'll just bake onto my control skeleton or control rig. Yay. And then I'm going to send this um, so we'll save as. This will be the cleaned version. This is idle to run. Let me rename that. I'll do start. And this will just be idle to run, cleaned. And this one, I'll remove the start part for it because I'm officially in the run section. I'm no longer technically in the idle anymore. I could just say run or walk. So this is, because I'm not really running, I should rename those, but I'll do that later. Okay, so now in my walk file, I can strip out everything that I don't need, which I think I kind of did. Yeah, I already baked down to the file. All right, so I'll grab all those. I'll set that to 0, 1. Remove my reference. Jump back into yarn. Helps if I select my Doodleo. Read in education. What are you smiling at?
Shocked if I'm
And then line those up.
okay. Go away.
Where's that at? Last frame is, can't see it, but I can certainly see it here, 73. Howdy ho there, neighbor. Okay, so first part of this is, again, lining everything up. So just eyeball it. Translate X, Y, and Z. Um, my Y value, actually, yeah, I'll just do Y because that's going to center everything up real quick. It's going to put me about center. All right. My X value is going to be my ground. Now my ground contact actually is going to vary over time because um, as the character walks, he's going to be going up and down a little bit, but that should be pretty good uh, captured through the motion capture. And then my Z value, let me take a look at this from my top. Where is 0? There it is. And you can see he's kind of still at an angle there. One of those things I have to clean up a little bit better once I have my other system fixed. But let's see how that looks. Still moving a bit more than I want him to. let's go back into my side view. And then again, the part that I don't want to move forward at all would be, so let me go to where he's good in center. So yeah, so pretty much anything before or after that point, I'm gonna nuke for that value. Maybe that's wrong. It's my Y value that's changing. Okay, but at that frame 34, before and after frame 34 is a bit on the bad side, so not going to worry about the jitter. I just want to make sure that I can get the animation in there. So let's save this position. And then I will bake onto the skeleton. Select the hierarchy and then bake. Then we will take that, export that selection. This is Selden Walk. And I'm walking left. I'm gonna undo the bake. And then once again, I'm going to rotate 180 on my axis. That was successful last time, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab that. So yeah, I can just 180 this. Make sure it's running. Grab my skeleton. I'm gonna rebake, even though I don't know if it matters, but I'm just rebake from here.
Do a drink? No.
I do not. I drank it all.
Nasty.
Let's export walk left. We'll change this to walk right. I didn't check my frames last time, but it should be 1 to 73, which it is. I'm getting the lung father.
Getting the black run, huh?
Hold on. clean that up and save it. Sure. Uh, a regular water, not a fizzy water. Okay, so all those are out. I'm gonna go ahead and import those into Unreal. Um, make sure I save Unreal. And then tomorrow, when I'm slightly more conscious, I will hook up the animations and test them to make sure that they're actually going to do what I need them to do, and we'll go from there. So let me get those in.
Yeah.
Uh, thank you. Uh, breaking all kinds of stuff. I should be able to bring in both of these walk cycles. Bring them both in. Um, yes and yes. Pick the skeleton. And then import all will import both. So import all.
You are right.
And here we go. There's my walk. It's there.
She's on there,
Mm-hmm.
and the underside is black. And if I didn't see just the littlest black in this corner, I never would have known she was there. I went, what is that? Is that? I had to put my face right here to see her little eyeballs to know. I went, here it is.
Uh, if you don't know, Popo is
The
the
blackest of all
she
black.
is so dark. That's why her name is Popo because like
The black eye papa.
there the amount of dark is incredible. She reflects almost no light except for her eyes.
She's just a void. She's just a black void.
It's crazy. And she's so adorable. And she knows she's cute.
She's such a little cat. She's the cattiest of cats. She's such a jerk.
Look at Selden swaying.
Look at the strut.
Look at that. Yeah, a bit of a strut there. Look at that. I mean, there's a lot of twisted body, but hey, whatever. He's in. All right, so that animation's in. Let's check the other one.
Where's my shirt? Where you at, friends? Why are you shoes at big cities?
So it looks like left and right walk are identical. Not cool, but um, I wonder why it worked well the other time, but not that time. Well, there's way too much thought for me today. I'll go ahead and figure that out, and then when I have the solution, I will mention it at another time. There's something I probably missed, but I'm half awake, so it's all kinds of errors. But so far these are in, and I can test them later. So I shall see you guys